Hello and welcome to Not Now in Theaters. My name is Will Turntail and I'm a writer and film fan from California. This episode is about 1985's Runaway Train. It's a movie technically from those exploitation masters Cannon films, but carries the soul of master filmmaker Akira Kurosawa, which is quite a mix. It's a so-called philosophical action thriller film, if you can believe such a combination would exist. I'm excited to get into why this movie is still worth your time and could make it onto those listicles like most underrated movies of the 1980s. Just before we start, a reminder that making films is hard and you have to respect that, so any criticisms are meant to be constructive. Also, this review contains spoilers. I'll do my best to call them out for you when they come up. Okay, let's get started. Runaway Train 1985 review. Engine by Kurosawa, rails by Konchalovsky. Runaway Train is a gripping on-screen voyage. It's a brisk, harrowing story full of tension, stakes, and impending doom. But its pathway off the screen, from pre-production to film, is a 20-year journey. The film originated as a script by the legendary filmmaker Akira Kurosawa, director of Seven Samurai and Rashomon, just for two. In the early 1960s, Kurosawa read an article in Life magazine about a runaway train, and it sparked his filmmaking imagination into action. By 1966, Kurosawa was ready to make Runaway Train for Embassy Pictures. His script, written along with Hideo Oguni and Ryuzo Kikushima, if I'm pronouncing those correctly, was about two escaped convicts accidentally getting stuck on a runaway train. But the film was canceled at the last minute. Still, the script remained property of the Nippon Herald Company, and in 1982 they asked Francis Ford Coppola to recommend a director. Coppola and producer Tom Luddy recommended Andrei Konchalovsky, who secured funding for the project through Cannon Films. And yes, that's a Kurosawa movie seed getting soil and sunlight from the crew that brought you tasty exploitation fare like Invasion USA, American Ninja, or Stallone's Cobra. It's a bizarre mix, but I think the key word here from Cannon is financing, not influence. Runaway Train was released in November 1985 and won over critics, receiving praise from well-known figures such as Janet Maslin of the New York Times and Roger Ebert, who awarded it 4 out of 4 stars. And the love has stood the test of time. For example, you can see the film's current 83% critic score and 76% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. It also ranks on some lists of the most underrated movies of the 1980s or lists of the best films the Cannon Group ever made. But audiences didn't care. The film hit $7.7 million against a $9 million budget and probably more with whatever Cannon spent on marketing. So who is right about Runaway Train? The past and current critics? Or the audiences who skipped it at the theater? Let's find out. Is Runaway Train a good movie? The plot of Runaway Train: bank robber Oscar Manny Mannheim is a hero to his fellow convicts of Stonehaven Maximum Security Prison in Alaska. Still, he's the scum of the earth to the prison's warden, known only as Rankin. After 2 previous escapes, Rankin throws Manny in solitary confinement, but after 3 years in the hole, a court orders Rankin to release Manny. Now back amongst the inmates, the calculating Manny soon meets the perfect accomplice for his next escape: plucky prison boxer Buck McGehee. After Manny and Buck slip out of the prison, they hop aboard a cargo train. But when the engineer has a heart attack, they find themselves alone on the train. As the out-of-control locomotive picks up speed, can Manny and Buck find a way to survive? And as Rankin finds out where Manny has run, can he get his wish and kill Manny before the train does his dirty work for him? You can read the rest of the main cast in the transcript, but just to take you through some of the characters I mentioned, Oscar Manny Mannheim is played by John Voight. Rankin is played by John P. Ryan. Buck McGehee is played by Eric Roberts. And you'll definitely recognize some names in this cast. And as regular listeners would know, if you want to see a trailer for Runaway Train, I already pulled one up for you in the quote links in this episode section at the bottom of the transcript. I also put any screen caps or other links mentioned in this episode there. So now that you know the plot, let's talk about why you should see this movie. The first reason is the film's characters and performances, which is worth 6 points. Both Jon Voight and Eric Roberts received Academy Award and Golden Globe Award nominations for their performances, with Voight winning his Golden Globe. And it's easy to see the logic behind the praise. With his scarred eye and tooth fillings, Voight's Manny somewhat reminds you of Tuco from The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. But only so. This scoundrel is more about tragedy than Tuco's mischief. Voight finds the eyes and heavy stare of someone you don't want to cross because he has nothing to lose. Friend or foe, he will drop you cold and dead at any minute, if he has to. Yet there's also a mentor-like warmth to Manny, one that's evident when he lectures Buck about getting a real job instead of going back to bank robbery. If Snake Plissken of Escape from New York was the 1980s anti-hero who ignored responsibility because he had become jaded, this is the anti-hero who just never bothered with the right path but knows better. Manny tells Buck, in a painful monologue, to hang on to just a regular cleaning job and don't take offense when they ask you to do it better. Don't walk away seeking that other thing because there's an honor in just taking the shit they're giving you and getting through. You wouldn't think there's anything to pity Manny over, but right there in the speech when he admits he couldn't and wouldn't do the job either, you get it. Manny chooses his life, but it's like a dark destiny. It was funny watching Eric Roberts as the bumpkin-like Buck because I've only recalled him in this movie and The Pope of Greenwich Village. Perhaps Roberts has a gift for playing guys who think they're smarter than they are. In Pope, he's a low-life criminal who keeps aiming for the high life, much to his detriment. In this movie, Roberts' Bucky can win a fight in the ring, but not much else. He's all application and little brains. But we find Buck to be human and darkly endearing. He's a powerful boxer, but like a misguided puppy who bites hard. He wants to be Manny's partner so badly. Perhaps companionship was all Buck needed to go straight and ditch crime. Next up, let's talk about how this film is like old Adventure Times, which is worth 2 points. There's a patient, old-school flow to this film. The script unfolds in milestones that script writing books would preach. For example, an inciting incident that kicks Act 1 into Act 2, Manny and Buck boarding the train, plenty of exposition in Act 1, and a new wrinkle in the story right around that hour mark. But the story is better than the screenwriter's checklist many modern movies feel like, allowing action or drama to unfold naturally without a scene for the sake of a scene. And the actors have leeway to fill in the gaps. We don't over-explain our characters with unnecessary exposition. The film's story tells on its feet, and it's all the better for it. And there's plenty of tension. Once the story is up to speed and has momentum, much like a train, it comes up with obstacle after obstacle. There's the struggle of Manny and Buck on the train, the random workers we meet along the way who have to get out of the train's path or switch its tracks in time to avoid disaster, and our scenes at the command center where the controllers try to divert the locomotive and prevent catastrophe. This next category is called Manny versus Rankin, and it is worth 4 points. While the central conflict is Manny and Buck trying not to die on the train, the secondary conflict between Manny and the warden, Rankin, elevates the movie. Rankin is hell-bent on stopping Manny. Manny is hell-bent on escaping. But the warden isn't trying to rehabilitate anyone. He cruises with an entourage of club-wielding riot police jailers. And when there is an actual riot, he walks through fire like he don't give a shit. And for Manny, his life has truly lost meaning. He taunts Rankin that he could do months of time standing on his head if Rankin tried to force him back into solitary. It's a rebellion that lacks purpose. It's a senseless private war that both men want to win, but by fighting the war, they're both losing. This next category we're going to call Let's End This and give it 2 points. And a big warning that reading on or listening on here will wreck the end of the movie for you. So skip ahead if you want. This is the last positive aspect, so the chapter skip function should work here. Still with me? Okay. You could see this speeding, out-of-control train as some kind of metaphor, no doubt. Director Konchalovsky has described it as perhaps society breaking down, which I think is apt, and he said that the movie's design is still very much Kurosawa's in its existential point of view. And that's what I love about this movie's finale. When it's time for Rankin and Manny to settle the boiling rage between them, the film does it in the least American 1980s action movie way possible. Rankin, because he has gone insane in his anger and because why the hell not for the film's spectacle, lands on the train via a helicopter. Sure, one of Rankin's goons just bought it when he couldn't stick the landing and fell under the train, but Rankin, as Manny taunts him from below, is undeterred. And after their scuffle, it's Manny who has gotten the upper hand on Rankin, handcuffing him to the train. But here's the deviation. The 1980s American action film formula would be Manny uttering a one-liner to Rankin and improvising a heroic escape, leaving Rankin to his death. Or Manny would push the guy under the rails with a quip, triumphing after a struggle and hitting that button to stop the train. But not this film. Instead, Manny uncouples the train, saving Buck and Sarah, but dooming himself and Rankin. As Manny has said, win or lose, what's the difference? And it's this ride, not into the sunset, but standing atop a speeding train, his mustache getting crisp and smothered in falling snow, where we leave Manny and end the film. It's the darkly poetic, brilliant end you have to love. So now we should point out what's not working quite so well in this movie for me. And there's just one thing. We'll call it the not always effective effects, and we'll take away 2 points. If you wanted to pick on this movie, you could go after a few effects and techniques that didn't quite age so well. There's what I think is a rear projection effect that fails to convince when characters are moving around the train while it is moving at high speeds. They are moving, but so is the obvious background behind them. And you don't have to squint to spot what looks like an iffy matte painting, like something out of a holiday store full of Alaska snow. For some reason, the editing lingered on this shot for several seconds, despite it being a jarring image. But hey, this was 1985. You'll still get some cool train collisions and helicopter stunts featuring old school crashing of metal against metal. So adding it all up, Runaway Train scores 12 points. On my scale of let's not watch, should I watch, or go watch this movie, I'm going to give Runaway Train my go watch rating. Runaway Train rides standout performances and healthy dramatic tension to a poetic, gripping conclusion that might even make you think. And that payoff is the ultimate sign that, hey, you've been invested in this film's drama. A few of its filmmaking techniques are dated, but you won't care. Critics have praised this movie since the mid-1980s, and in our current 2020s environment riddled with content, it's still worth setting aside some time for. The legacy of Runaway Train. So what is the legacy of Runaway Train? Well, I guess you could call the movie a cult classic. It's underappreciated by audiences, not all of them, but many of them, in its day, but remains a critical pick. I'm not the gatekeeper for what does or doesn't earn that cult designation, though, and I don't know or care to debate it. I couldn't say what led to its underperforming ticket sales, but its lackluster movie poster, at least for me, wasn't doing it any favors. And you can take a look at that with the links in the transcript. I guess they were going with a kinetic look, with that train coming at you from the tracks, but it looks like a disaster movie, which I think is a disconnect. And maybe the marketing team didn't know what to do with it. That trailer is all about the action thrills, and it delivers on that, but the movie's tone is deeper. Whatever the case, as a piece of legacy now, the film sets itself apart from other 1980s American thrillers. The blend of serious, tragic themes and action is rare. The movie features 2 minor roles for infamous actors that fans will spot. First up, you'll notice it is Danny Trejo, also known as Machete, in the ring with Eric Roberts' Buck for the boxing scene. It is said that Trejo was cast when he came to the set as a drug abuse counselor for somebody working with the crew who was disturbed by the rampant cocaine abuse on set. That seems to open up a whole new angle to this movie, but I don't think I'm going to go there. A consultant on the film, Edward Bunker, remembered Trejo from their time together in San Quentin State Prison, so he helped Trejo get hired for the role and work as a boxing trainer for Roberts. You may also recognize Tommy Lister Jr. as the guard Jackson. This is Lister's first acting role. If you don't know him by name, you probably know him by sight. He's a literal big guy in a lot of films. Lister was legendary neighborhood bully Debo in Friday and President Lindbergh in The Fifth Element, among many other roles. It's said that directors like Martin Scorsese have admired the work of director Andrei Konchalovsky. The guy has a mile-long career, yet this was his first movie I've ever watched. It's funny he made this so different 1980s film, as the only movie he's made that I truly recognize is that formulaic Stallone and Kurt Russell buddy cop film Tango and Cash. I've only seen pieces of that. That's just about the farthest tonal difference I can think of to this movie, but I guess you go where the cash is. Literally. Konchalovsky has made movies in both the United States and Russia in a 60-year career, including adaptations of authors like Anton Chekhov and historical epics. Jon Voight is an actor you probably know. He's got an Academy Award win with multiple nominations, a British Academy Film Award, and 4 Golden Globe Awards. He has also received nominations for 4 Primetime Emmy Awards. He's even got a National Medal of Arts. And Voight comes with a lot of baggage for me. I disagree with his politics, which I find extra odd because he was associated with 1960s counterculture films, but I'm not here to open that up right now. You might know him for his Oscar-nominated role in Midnight Cowboy, a film I don't remember too well, but I recall thinking that any cinephile should see it. He has also appeared in movies such as Deliverance, Heat, and the first Mission Impossible. He's also done TV, like the Showtime show Ray Donovan. If you don't know his career, I think of Eric Roberts a bit like you would Nicolas Cage. Roberts hasn't been in as many high-profile films as Cage, but he has a similar reputation for being a very talented guy who, strangely, is willing to do things as long as you pay him. I think he's even said just about that before. The guy is good here, in The Pope of Greenwich Village and fantastically creepy in Star 80, a movie I forgot I had seen until now. It's that Bob Fosse movie. But later in his career, he's had notable roles too, like Sal Maroni in Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight. So I guess I saw him in that as well. But Roberts has appeared in many direct-to-video releases, for whatever decision that is about. Roberts has over 700 credits. It boggles my mind how someone can do that in a lifetime. I don't think I could field 700 calls about TV and films if I were an actor. If you don't know, yes, Eric is Julia Roberts' brother. And he has the distinction of getting mocked and eaten in a South Park Season 2 episode called Cartman's Mom is Still a Dirty Slut. Hopefully it's something Roberts laughed about. Apologies to any actors I didn't highlight. It is said that Runaway Train inspired the 1994 Runaway Bus movie Speed, though in a backward way. Graham Yost, a screenwriter, learned about Runaway Train from his dad, I think it's Elwee Yost, a Canadian TV host. For some reason, like dads seem to do, Elwee thought the train had a bomb on board. So Graham Yost thought his story would be better if there was a bomb on board a bus that would go off if it went too slow. But strangely, there is a Japanese film called The Bullet Train, released in 1975, in which a bomb will explode if a train drops below 80 kilometers per hour. So I don't know if Father Yost was confusing 1985's American film Runaway Train with 1975's Japanese movie The Bullet Train. But either way, oddly, Graham Yost was inspired by a Japanese-written movie about trains for Speed. Funny enough, Yost originally wrote that Speed's plot device was the bus dropping below 20 miles per hour to set off the bomb, but a friend suggested raising it to 50 miles per hour. Now that's a good change and a lovely friend, because that's a lot more exciting. I think slow motion 20 mile an hour Speed would have to change its title to Residential Zone Speed or something. Incidentally, The Bullet Train 1975 has a sequel, Bullet Train Explosion, a Japanese film that just came out on Netflix in April of 2025. So the world is still doing bomb is on a vehicle movies. Lastly, the 1993 Soul Asylum song, Runaway Train, with its infamous music video about missing people? Yeah, no relation to this movie. Okay, that's all I have for this episode. Thank you so much for listening. And if you haven't seen it yet, I hope that you'll give Runaway Train a watch. I'm pretty sure it's free on Tubi if you don't mind a few commercials. So I guess it's not free since time watching commercials is your time. And if you want to talk about Runaway Train or have an episode suggestion for this show, I'd love to hear from you. You can reach out to me on Blue Sky using the link in the transcript. Or you can search for Wheelchair Tale on Blue Sky. And if you like this episode, would you please take a minute or two of your time to leave me a review wherever you're listening from? I'm the only one that puts this show together, so just 1 to 2 minutes of your time would really help me out, and I'd love to hear what you think of the show. Or if you're listening on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe. New episodes of this podcast come out on Tuesdays, unless I screw up and have to delay until Wednesday or so. I don't know what next week's episode will be just yet, but no doubt another film that is retro and probably worth exploring. This podcast episode is a production copyright of Overegged Media LLC, located in Sacramento, California. Reference photos linked in the transcript are copyrighted by the Internet Movie Database. This review's factual information was gathered through online sources like Wikipedia, IMDb, or interviews. Misrepresentations and errors are possible, but unintentional. Introduction music, exit music, and additional music are all by Kevin MacLeod of Incompetech.com, and they're all licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 4.0 license. The names of the songs by Kevin MacLeod are Neon Laser Horizon, Voxel Revolution, Half Mystery, and Aerosol of My Love. Goodbye for now.